It's Tuesday night. It's time for the Parents Lounge.
Did you go and write a new theme song?
Yeah, I wrote a new theme song. Hey, everybody. Welcome to another edition of the Parents Lounge. I am excited to be here. I was on a little vacation last week. I'm Jamie Kaler. I'm joined as always by my pal, Jason Gowan, our resident mom, Kate Mulligan. It'll be in a few seconds. We have a fantastic show for you tonight. We have an amazing comedian who's done a lot. We'll give him some credits later. Mr. Jay Larson's here. Greg Cromer from Better Things is going to be here. Licensed therapist Celia Bay. Of course, my wife texts me. I go, hey, I'm doing a show at 7 o'clock. 7:01. My wife texts me.
That sounds right.
Let's see. Oh, it must be so important. It's like, I don't know. We'll have to get into this. But I don't know how it works, but my wife, doesn't hear anything, like whatever range my voice is in. She has a deaf spot in her hearing. Do you?
Yes. Oh, it's an affliction that's also striking our home.
Yeah, it's like, and I'll talk to her, and I'm sitting right next to her, and I'll be like, I'll say the same thing like 5 times, and she goes, "What? Are you talking to me? There's nobody. It's just us. Of course I'm talking to you." And she doesn't hear a word I say. So when I said, "Hey, I'm doing the show tonight at 7," she's like, Yeah. And then she texted me at 7:01 to tell me she's at the park with her friend. Okay. Anyway, welcome to the Parents Lounge. We have a great show. Jason lost feeling in his hands this week. We're not sure why.
Still don't know. Still unable to write checks or draw a silly picture if I wanted to. Can't right now.
Joe Bo's already here. Suge Knight. We got a lot of things happening. I, of course, was on vacation last week. I guess we talked about that a little bit, like having a dad vacation.
A dadcation?
A dadcation, right? Yeah. We'll talk extensively about that, but it was weird to be away without wife and kids. First time since I had children.
I did that in May when I came to California. It's weird. You feel like a part of you is not there, and you want to enjoy it. You want to, but something stops you at every turn.
There is a weird mental block. Like we've talked about it before, how children are kind of extensions of your nervous system, which I truly believe. But but I was away. I had like 1 or 2 pangs, but honestly, here's part of the problem is it's a reminder of your life before kids. Because all the guys I was hanging with they don't have kids. So they were just tearing it. I mean, tearing it up. And I was like, yeah, we're tearing it up. Remember these days? And then like at 8:30 when they were like pounding it during dinner, I was like, hey, I'll be right back. And then I just went right back to my room and went to bed. I was like, I can't hang with those guys anymore. It was like going to a frat party when you're like 45 years old.
Did you do that?
Go to a frat party at 45? Yeah. No. Actually, no. I mean, I did stand up on the road at 45, which sometimes felt like a frat
party. I'm sure it did feel like that, yeah.
Yeah, and there were certain nights where you're like, wow, I'm way too old for this party that's happening. Yeah.
I look like a giant baby. I could probably still go to most frat parties unnoticed amongst the crowd.
You will fit right in. Yeah. We have a fantastic show, and our guest is here. So let's get this party started, shall we? Because I haven't caught up with him in a long time. We go way back. And I will bring him in after this. We're going to give you guys 90 seconds. We're going to play our little opening sequence. Go make a cocktail. Share the show if you get a chance, and we'll see you in 90 seconds after this delicious song and montage. You ready?
I'm ready.
Hit it. We could have homes on separate coasts, go dive in Greece with squids. Could have been so bleeping rich, but instead we had kids. They won't smile for a photo. They won't eat the food we choose. That's why we're heading to the Parents' Lounge to drown ourselves in booze. Every day we're more exhausted. We haven't slept in years. They hit me in the nuts so bad my eyes filled up with tears. And yes, we'd like to fake our death and go off of the grids, but the truth is we are softies and we truly love our kids. So join us every Tuesday night to laugh at all our pain. Evening in the Parents' Lounge is the cure to staying sane.
Ta-da!
One day we'll do an official recording and we won't use the demo for that opening anymore.
I think you should still have Richard Marx.
I want to get, honestly, I'm going to ask Richard Marx to sing the song for me.
I think he will do it for you.
I think he would do it too. It's super funny, super funny. All right, let's jump into this thing. Thank you everybody for tuning in this week to the Parents' Lounge. We have a great show. Our resident mom, Kate Mulligan, is joining us, and my pal, who I did the Montreal Comedy Festival New Faces Showcase a few years ago, is here as well. His credits are long. They are long. He has been on everything. He used to host the CrabFeast with Ryan Sickler, which was a super popular podcast. Comedy Central presents him on his on their network. His special, which is hilarious, Me Being Me, you can find it at jlarsoncomedy.com. He is the director and a writer of the Connor Moore Show on Golf Pass, and he is a phenomenal golfer himself. Please welcome my pal, Mr. Jay Larson, tonight.
Oh, first it was me wearing a diaper on my head.
What's up?
Mulligan's right out.
Hey, Jay.
Hi, Jay.
Let's go. We got Jason and Jay. Hey, Kate.
Hi, Jay. I found my son's pull-up, so I put it on.
Nice. I guess
like you do.
Yeah.
Classic.
She's
classic
doing some pop comedy now.
Yeah.
Jay, my brother, how are you? I thought we talked last week because I went and played Bandon Dunes, which I'm a hack golfer, but it was super fun and cool. And you are lucky enough now to be kind of making your living in the world of golf and comedy, which is kind of cool.
Yeah, kind of. I mean, it's funny because when you're directing on a golf show, every time you turn around, the jackasses you work with are like hitting golf balls. Are they on the driving range? I'm like, yo, I'm the only guy who doesn't pick up a club. I'm like, I'm here to work. I'm here to get it done. My EP, I'm like, bro, can you get out of that lesson? Let's go.
Is everybody in the show, is their handicap just dropping and dropping?
No. I mean, getting better?
Yeah, no.
No, they're terrible. I mean, no, we have some really good guys on there, like, which I did 2 golf shows. James Davis is, anyway. It seems like a dream job. It is just nice to be on a golf course. I mean, if it wasn't even golf, it was just like we were talking golf, but we were in nature. I would love that too,
It's funny.
I do feel like you stole Jamie Kaler's vision board, which was just comedy and golf, and you just actually ended up with the career he wished he had.
Not just that, but his other big show was he went around the country and drank.
Yeah, you don't drink, Kaler. Come on.
No. What was it? The best bars in America? Is that
Yeah, man. I love how much research you did.
Yeah.
Yeah, Jamie. That was forever ago, dude. That was like 8 years ago.
Dude, I mean, come on. 2.5 years have been a pandemic. Those don't count. So it's really.
You know what? Isn't it crazy how like when you think of things, you're like, oh yeah, then there was that, and then there was that.
Mm.
Yeah, that was fun.
Turned 9 last week. 9 years old. I mean it's
so
crazy. Great. I mean, the last time I saw you with the kids, they were tiny little babies. I'm sure they're
also, they stayed tiny little babies.
I used to joke around about like freezing them at that age. My daughter's 6, soon to be 7 next month, and my boy is 8. He'll be 9 in February.
Did you do kids late in life the way Jamie did?
Well, not as late as Jamie. Jamie's 7 years old.
Jamie is 402. Yep, that's right. I was like, you guys did Montreal together in 77? What the
By the
hell?
way, I told Jason, I said the over-under for the age joke was going to come at 3 minutes. Of course, Mulligan set you up, but I said,
listen,
he's going to bust me
I
up.
got my boy.
Yo, I was with someone the other day who knows of Jamie, and Jamie knows him, but I'm not going to say the name. He doesn't know Jamie, but and Jamie's 2 years older than him. And I showed him a picture. I go, look, this is Jamie. And he goes, oh, wow. And I go, what? He goes, I just forget how old I am sometimes. So I see someone else who's my age and looks old. And I want to be like, Jamie Kaler is the best aged human being I've ever known in my life. Jamie, right now, I could, if you told me he was 36, I'd be like, yeah, I buy that.
I would buy
For
that.
the record, this is my husband's credo: is what is that guy's regimen? I need to look like Jamie Kaler.
Well, I know
Truly.
it entails some sort of unicorn blood ritual.
Honestly,
You're telling me, Jay, that GF, the guy we're talking about,
I couldn't believe it. Dude, when
he
said
thought I looked old.
I wanted to literally grab him and be like, you look 65, dude. That's what I wanted to say to him, but I didn't. I just like let it fly. I just like,
you guys, real quick, it looks like Aman Raghov has some really good insight for us, so I will
I'd
translate.
like to thank our sponsors at
Yes,
Gibberish.
yes.
I wouldn't put that up. We might have just started a jihad. I'm not.
You know what, Jamie? We
That
were not
actually-
gonna be-
Jamie, is that the unicorn blood ritual you use? Is that the
might
one?
be.
Yeah, that's the recipe right there.
I asked Jay to come do this show because not only is he ridiculously funny, but if you follow him on his Instagram, he is a fantastic dad who's always doing little crafts, building stuff, making a garden in the backyard, cooking breakfast. You're a good dad, man.
I love how low you keep the standards to be a dad where cooking breakfast is like a champion activity.
He feeds his children. Imagine
He
that.
doesn't just like, look, if you've seen mine, I post my oatmeal where I make the rabbit face with the fruit in it. Sure, I do that.
You
But
make
yeah,
your girls
yeah,
crepes on demand. Don't sell yourself short.
I made chocolate chip pancakes this morning.
Big deal. That's just a day of the week in our house.
Yeah,
It's a great question. Stephanie Hansen wants to know why it looks like I'm hiding from the FBI. I don't usually do the show from the ground, but I'm in a motel in the Central Coast of California, and this is the only place where the lighting doesn't make it look like I'm actually in a closet. So,
What Central Coast?
like Morro Bay.
Oh, cool.
Yeah, you know the Central Coast, man.
Yeah, I do.
Dude, what's your spot? What's your spot on the Central Coast?
I mean, I don't know. I think I go more inland. I don't go coast, but you'd be out near San Simeon, right? And
No, absolutely.
Yeah.
You ever heard of Cayucas?
San Luis Obispo.
Yeah.
San Luis
absolutely.
Slow. We call it slow out here. That is like they literally the locals because A, they don't wear shoes just anywhere in this town, and B, they all refer to it as slow for San Luis Obispo, and I'm like, that's deeply annoying.
I'll perform there.
Jay, are you actually? Yeah, are you still? You're roading it a bunch.
I was early in the year. I ruptured my Achilles, so I'm not. So I'm just kind of like sitting back and just doing other stuff, but
And Achilles is rupturable, not just like you can pull it.
It's rupturable. Yeah. Oh no, you could tear it or you can rupture it. So it's ruptured, which means you can't walk on it for 2 months. You ready? Here's my dad move for all the parents out there, dad or mom. I can't drive a car for 2 months. So you know what I did? I bought a Vespa.
Okay.
It's electric, and it goes me, my daughter, my son. Crutches underneath us, the two of them there, backpacks, name it, we go there. Nothing's stopping me.
I gotta tell you, my wife would never. Oh my God! If I was on a Vespa with the two kids, she'd lose her mind. There's no chance. And
It's an electric scooter. It looks like a Vespa. So it looks like a Vespa. It's an electric scooter. It goes 30 miles an hour tops.
We talking sidewalk?
You can't get killed at the age of 8 at 30 miles an hour. I mean, that sounds totally safe.
No, you know what else you could also not do is live your entire life in fear, Jamie. Okay? And be like, oh no, I'm not going to do it. I'm building memories with my children. You're throwing fucking a happy face in oatmeal like you're changing the world.
That's a Michael Jackson comment after he held the kid over the railing of like, I'm gonna live my life in fear of dropping this child over the railing.
You're just as likely to get into an accident in a car as you are on a scooter.
On a scooter going 30 miles an hour with your children.
Car? What are you, crazy? A Vespa with 2 kids on it? Even I can't sign off on
You would love the Philippines, Jay.
I would. You know how many people? Do you know how many people see me? First of all, Jason, where are you at with this, bro? You want to get behind me here or what?
I'm with you. I would. I have zero regard for my children's safety at all. So whatever you think we can do.
Thank you. It's not even about everyone wears helmets, and you know what? It's funny. It's like I got it. I'm like I need to be able to get around, and I can't like. What would you do? Tell me what your solution would be. You're a single dad. or a single mom,
Okay.
2 months, you are not going to be able to drive. Your kids have
Okay.
camps, they have music lessons, sewing class, skateboarding. What are you doing? You're going to sit around and you're going to Uber to every single location. You're never going to go for ice cream. You're never going to go to dinner. You're going to let this thing stop you. Tell me. I'd like to go around. I'd like to start with Jamie.
I would drive lefty.
You can't.
Wow.
How dangerous that
Totally
is.
joking. Totally joking. I know. I'd put my right foot in the cast over in the passenger seat, and then I would drive totally with my left foot.
All right, more dangerous than the scooter. Kate, what do you got?
Actually, it is way more dangerous than the scooter.
I have no problem asking for favors from everyone around me. So I would probably be like, hey, for dance class the next couple of weeks or the next month or so, I'm going to throw some bones your way. Can you take my kid?
Okay, so that'd be for dance. So every day for camp. So for 8 weeks, every day you'd have someone. Okay. Jason?
I think I'm going to offer sexual favors in exchange for rides.
Honestly, the Vespa is a pretty smart solution.
Didn't think of that, Jason. I will look into that.
Yeah.
Do you know how many people see us on the Vespa and they just look over and they're like, you guys are killing it. Reed works the horn. He just goes, beep, beep. We pass people, beep, beep. They're like, who are these kids? Crushing.
Here's my question for you, though, Jay. Do you live in LA?
Yes.
I mean, I'm fine with. If you told me you're like, oh no, we live in Little Rock. Nah, girl, we're out in St. Louis. I'd be like, fine. You're in LA?
But where do you live in LA?
I live in Burbank.
Yeah, you can zip around Burbank, no problem.
Child, those hills. No. There's no way.
Damn, youth-looking energy.
Yeah.
Anyway, we're crushing it. Yeah, look at those arms.
No, first of all,
I was going to say, look at you.
You are kind of crushing it, Jay. Hey, did the kids, like my kids did camp. My wife signed them up. When I was a kid, I begged for like 10 years, and I finally got 1 week at Ted Williams baseball camp. My kids go to camp every week. And the 1 week they didn't have camp, because I was like, we can't do every week. They were like, I'm so bored. I'm so bored. And then my wife was, maybe we should send them to camp. I go, no, they're going to make it. Are your kids in camp every week?
They're not in camp every week. And when they weren't, they were asking to not be. They wanted to just be home and chill, to be able to, like, I built this giant Lego table in our garage. So at my house, I have a Lego table, arts and crafts, a hang area, Papa Shop. They don't really do the Papa Shop. Like doll section for my daughter. And then that's where they get down. At Kate's, they have like the trampoline, and then they have kids next door. They wanted time to just be home and chill. My kids like to be home. They'll be like, can we just stay home and just do nothing? Like on a weekend, Kate has to tell me sometimes. She's like, Jay, you don't always have to plan stuff for the kids. You can just chill. And I'm like, yeah, that's a good point. I always feel like I need to like plan an adventure. But when you have a scooter, everything's an event. Just drive.
Yes, it is. Yeah, just getting to the place is an adventure.
Jay, could I offer a trade? I will drive you and your children anywhere you need to go if my kids can come play at your home.
I will let them come play in my home, but trust me, if you ever started just cruising around in a Vespa, that's how you got around, you wouldn't want to get around any other way. It's
okay.
But you could totally.
Carlos.
What are the pros of it?
Guy. Carlos Alazraqui's a Vespa guy. He lives on that thing all the time.
Oh yeah,
really? He's got a Tesla. What are you talking about? He always shows up to T-ball in that Tesla.
He has a Vespa. I know.
And a Tesla. They rhyme.
What do you do? Are your kids doing TV at all, Jay? Or are you that guy?
This is what we did. We did any type of screen or anything until they were 2. At 2, we let them start watching TV. Neither kid has an iPad still. Mm-hmm. My son at 8 got a Switch. So he has a Switch. He got a Switch for his 8th birthday. But we don't allow any screen time. Yeah, like on that during the week, only on weekends, and it's never for like extended times. They both have a computer and they like to like watch videos on YouTube. My daughter takes sewing lessons, so she likes to watch like stuff of like dolls being built and created in different dresses.
That's interesting.
And then my son likes to watch Lego like homemade Lego Star Wars videos. You know what I mean? Where people
where they hand animate them, that kind of stuff.
Yeah.
Yeah,
well, your kids are geniuses compared to mine. Mine will watch hours of slime being made.
Okay.
Or Saturday, bro.
Hamsters running through mazes. That's their jam.
Jason's still on. our 6-year-old is still on a close-up magic kick, and I don't know where he's going with it, but I feels a little menacing at this point.
Dude, that is amazing. What if he's like into that's his thing? He's like, that's what I'm gonna do, Dad.
But he hasn't done a trick yet. And I keep with him, like he keeps watching the videos. I keep waiting for him to do a trick.
How old is he?
6.
So, oh yeah, I mean, so he's still young. But I do feel like that is the tough thing, is that like they're watching people doing this at home, but yet they don't want to do it themselves. So like we got into stop motion for a while. We were making stop motion with Legos, you know what I mean? And like making scenes. My son built his own cantina, and then I got an old TV, and I said to him, let's build out a set inside the TV, and then we can do stop motion in there. But we just haven't gotten to the next level. So that is something that concerns me, is that like they'll just watch these things and not really partake in them. But my daughter goes and makes all of her own clothes for her dolls and does all that. So she takes something away from it. You know, it's just like, that's why I always think, like, I tell them all the time, I'm like, balance. Everything in life is going to be balanced. I go, you're not going to eat like a box of Oreos for one meal. I go, but I'll give you 2 Oreos with your lunch. I go, you need balance. I go, just like, you know, my kids don't like sports. Jamie, I know your kids are athletic. My kids aren't super athletic. And I say, listen, you're still going to do stuff that has exercise because you need balance. So like we go for hikes all the time. We go for bike rides. I put in a zip line in the backyard. Like we've tried a lot of sports.
We have a zip, but we have a kind of one of those zip line kind of things where you hang.
You have it in the pool?
Yes, they're great.
Do you have it into the pool?
Now, here was the problem. I put it over the pool, and then I kind of showed it off to everybody and kind of go, yeah, I'm putting it over the pool. And everyone's like, it's just going to take one to fall and hit the edge of the pool. And then I took it off and I put
Here
it
in front. Here it is again, living in fear that the one horrible thing will happen. You got to let it go, Jamie.
Didn't do it.
So what? One of your kids could die. You can't let that dictate the way you live your life.
I see your kids jumping out of the fucking jacuzzi and jumping out of the jacuzzi. They could slip easily doing that and slip in the bed.
We specifically asked our guests not to say jacuzzi. Thank you for remembering that rule.
That is the safe word. By the way, I love that you think that your life isn't predetermined before you're even born, Jamie. Whatever's going to happen is going to happen. You get control over it. I love that you start somewhere.
Jay Larson is out here.
Listen, I saw Heaven Can Wait. Mr. Jordan has a very tight schedule on everybody, and you can't argue with that. I get it.
You can't, bro. I mean, come on.
I get it. It's funny too because I was talking to my other friend whose daughter's like crazy athletic, like really good, and so at soccer, she ended up joining a club sport, and I was like, I was kind of a little jealous of like, man, wish my daughter had started earlier. And then he told me what it meant. He's like, yeah, we pay $8,000 just to join the club. Then we have to buy all the gear. Then every weekend we're in Bakersfield, San Jose. I go, no. And so I've been kind of pulling her back. She's like, hey, let's go practice soccer. And I'm like, no. I'm
you're supposed to use your hands a lot in soccer, right?
Yeah.
You like give her all the wrong rules. Jay, have you taken your son to the Cantina in Hollywood yet? It's an actual bar called the Cantina.
Is it?
It's based off of the Cantina. Now I don't know if they let kids. Yeah, dude. I'm gonna send it to you in the chat right now.
It's a Star Wars theme.
Yeah,
that's right.
For Schmodown, we used to do matches there. We used to do our
nerd.
Yeah.
My son especially loves Star Wars. My son reads like crazy.
He knows what's canon and what's not. I love it. Love to hear it.
Every single thing that has to do with Star Wars. Like my ankle was so jacked I couldn't go anywhere. So last weekend or 2 weekends ago, we just stayed home and I'm like, I'm going through all the Legos and we're going to pull out the figures and let's build as many figures as we can do. And I'll pull out the body of what I think is a stormtrooper. And he'd be like, oh, Dad, that's like an infantry trooper. And I'm just like, dude, how do you know just from looking at the body? And they also have these brains that are like clean and clear. And they're not like clogged up with like traumatic experiences yet, you know?
Jay, I was thinking about our younger years a little bit, and I happened upon a little photo of 2 young. You were like 14, I think, then, weren't you?
14.
Look at Kaylor doing Blue Steel.
I know. Why is Kaylor giving fuck me eyes? Oh, sorry, I said jacuzzi.
Help himself.
Mulligan.
I'm sorry.
That was a drunken evening, I believe.
Yeah, well, you're about to.
We all do.
I took a
Yeah,
picture with Eddie
I put the name
Izzard.
of it in the chat.
That was our Montreal New Faces showcase, and I can't remember a show where I was more nervous, I think, for no reason particular, just except that we thought the world was going to change.
Yeah,
and,
I know.
Yeah.
How'd that go for you guys?
Like, I try to tell my kids, especially, like, my kids will get nervous about stuff, which I did horribly nervous. And I try, you try to explain, like, it doesn't mean, none of it means anything. If you could just throw it away and do your best, that's all. But you can't. It's hard.
You know what I said to my son? This was 2 weeks before my ankle. I took him to the beach, just me and him. We went down like by sunset. We were just like in the water. I was like, let's just go for 15 minutes. And we had our feet in the water, and I was like, spread them, get your feet wide. You want a good base. And we're sitting there. And I don't know why. I go, hey, listen, but I want to share something with you. And he goes, what's that? And I go, in life, you're going to have good things happen, bad things, funny things, sad things, hard things, easy things. I go, no matter what they are, they're a part of your life. They're your story. So if something really bad happens, it's okay to feel those feelings, but it doesn't define you. And something really good, it's okay, but like a bad thing could be the thing that leads to a good thing. So even when they happen, or even if you're anxious, those are just things that are happening. And it's always just a moment that's going to lead to another moment. And he was like, okay, Dad. 2 weeks into my ankle, we're at ice cream, and he goes, hey, Dad, aren't you happy that you ruptured your tendon? And I go, why? And he goes, because if you didn't, then we wouldn't be having all these adventures on the scooter. And I go, 100%, bro. 100%.
Oh,
Aw.
this was sweet. I was
really
waiting
like
to
that.
insert a joke, but I actually like this story too much. I'm not going to insert a joke.
Let me ask you, did you know that when you were that age, or did you
No,
learn
there was
it?
no one around to talk to me at his age. I was the youngest of four with a single mom. There was no one around. So that's why I spend so much time connecting with them. Which, P.S., driving around on a scooter with a kid and you can talk in their ear and they talk back to you, you have the most intimate. Do you got anyone here camp? Anyone camping? You guys camp at all?
I like.
I'm in a motel.
Is it called camping? If I go to the Four Seasons and stay there,
Yeah.
I really like that.
No, I always say to people, I'm like, there's no better way to connect with your children than lying down in a tent underneath stars. And it's just you in the middle of the woods with your kids, and what you talk about, like you're camping. It's like, yo, go get wood for the fire, and they go get wood and they come back. It's like the best. And now that I have the scooter, I'm like, nah, it's the second best. The best is when they're right in front of you and it's just you and them, and you're like leaning up and your mouth is in their ear, and you're like, how was your day today? Tell me what happened at camp. And then they tell you over here. It's the best.
Do you guys see? Do you see why I asked him to come to the show? He's good, right?
You're probably not familiar with the show Bluey, are you, Jay?
Bluey?
Bluey, yeah.
No, it's a cool name though.
It is. It's an
pretty
Australian
popular.
show, and I'll tell you what. You are basically you're giving me Bandit vibes, the dad on Bluey, which Jason also loves, just because he's like the greatest dad ever, and he's like, all right, mate, let's. Yeah. He's just like, he would definitely take an Achilles. Listen, when life gives you a ruptured Achilles, get a Vespa. I think we all can learn from that.
Jay has a great clip on when he did Conan, and it was funny too because you were like, I always wanted to be a dad. Like it was so you were like, I was 7 years old and I was already picking out names and stuff, and you totally have that joy about you. That honestly, I need to hear, because the last few days I've wanted to like fake my own death and move overseas because my kids, they fight all the time. I'm like, you guys are wrecking this for me. You're really.
What, they have their own rooms, right?
No, they're staying in the same room.
That's by their choice. Is there a room they could have?
Well, theoretically, I'm kind of using it, but they might be getting it soon. They're two little girls. They're like 18 months apart. You know what's funny today? So today, Hannah, the older one, she's like, I want my own room. So I go, maybe we'll clean out the other room, and it's like an office, and maybe put her in there. But I went and I figured a divider system so I could kind of almost encapsulate her half of the room so that she had her own space. Because I get it. The other, one wants to read at night. The other one's trying to go to sleep. I do think they need separate rooms, but it's
but not at the expense of the office.
It might be. It's getting to that point, especially, they're getting to an age where they're starting to do, she's going to fourth grade, and all of a sudden I hear fourth grade is where the homework starts, and it starts to get serious in school. So
Your kids don't have homework yet?
they what?
They don't have homework yet?
No, they had homework, but nothing serious. Nothing serious. Although, did you do? So we're doing the bridge books. Do you know what the bridge books are for the summertime? Right?
No.
Nah.
So you can go and there's a book, and it basically is it's some work in all the different categories to go from third to fourth grade or whatever. So the bridge book, and every day I sit and I go like 10 pages with them on that, and then we try to read a few chapters in a book or whatever. And it's funny, they're like melting down in the sun. I don't want to do this, but I'm trying to drag them through it and trying to get them ready to go back to do homework because.
Can I ask you a question?
Yeah.
Do you think if you didn't drag them through it and you just said they had to go do it on their own, they would melt down?
We've done that as well. I actually felt kind of guilty because I just kept saying, go do 10 pages. And then every page that comes, I need help. And I go, you don't need help. Just make a choice. I try to be clear about, look, I want them to fail. I'm like a big fan of trying, just make a choice. Trust your instincts.
Look at Jason.
Go ahead and fail. But they don't. So I'm sitting there with Claire.
None of this is sending up red flags to me at all.
So Claire, I'm sitting with Claire doing it, and they're both in pissy moods, and she's melting down, kind of doing it with like math. And then it's at one point, one of the questions was, "What's your favorite TV show?" And that was it. She couldn't pick one. She started sobbing. I said, "Claire, just pick." She goes, "I don't know what's my favorite." And I go,
and you're like, obviously it's My Boys. My Boys bought us this house. What are we talking about here?
I've never seen anything I've done. Maybe America Fact versus Fiction, but that's it. They've never seen. They don't even know it. But it's funny how their brains. I want them to make a choice, and sometimes they fight it. I don't know. Is that wrong?
Have you considered taking them to a beach, telling them to stand wide, and then telling them that they're not?
I do different for that. You know what we do? We calm our bodies. We take a deep breath. We're like, take a deep breath. Let's relax. And I always say our family motto is there's a solution for everything. So anytime it gets to any heightened level, I just go, what do we say? And they say there's a solution for everything. I go, exactly. I go, so let's find it. What is it? And then I've also just instituted that there's certain things that they can and cannot, that there are just certain things you're going to have to do, and there's no way around it. So if you want to get worked up, you can get worked up. You can have feelings, but it's not going to go anywhere. It's still going to be there. So just know that it's right here. And then I just go, it's just going to be there. You know what I mean? But my daughter is 6, so she's not really, she has homework and she loves it. And Reed, he kind of just loves work, so he doesn't really care. He's just like, yeah, okay, when do I do it? You know what I mean? Like the other night, we're getting ready for dinner, and he's like, I'm bored, or he wanted to like do his Switch, and I go, you know what? Go to the other room, get a piece of paper, come back in here. He goes, all right. I go, sit there and write me a story. I'll make dinner. You write a story. And he's like, all right. So he wrote a story. Like for when we would do like road trips, I would take like 5 pieces of blank paper, staple them together, and then I go, over this road trip, you got to write a story 5 pages deep. River, you can just draw pictures. And then he would write a story and she would draw pictures. And I'm just like, because I write, I just was like, oh, this would be a fun way to like get them to like flex that muscle and turn it. And, it doesn't need to be right. It's tough to read them sometimes. I'm like, what is this word, bro? Like, what?
Well, that's funny because I brought something I was going to talk about in the second half of my daughter. They make books all the time. And my daughter wrote a joke book.
Oh, nice.
And she came up, this is Claire, who was 6 when she wrote this, and she came up with all these jokes, and sure she wrote them because they're pretty good though.
Can we get one?
Some were racier than he thought.
I was going to have her read them at one point. She goes, "Why did the student eat his homework?"
Okay.
Because the teacher said it was a piece of cake.
Oh, that's actually legit good.
But she still she spelled peace, P-E-S, peas.
No, she did not get it out of a book.
That's bad.
This one, it's close. What did the fan say to the rock star? I'm a big fan.
Okay. We'll
fix it.
I got some notes. But that being said,
I'll talk about that later. But yeah, I'm stealing that, the story thing, because I think that's fantastic. And also it's creative to make, I think there's something, because so many of these little kits, like you go to Michael's and it's like today she had for her birthday, like paint the cat cup. And it was like a ceramic cat and she painted it and she was like, yeah, I did that. But I love it when it's like, here's a blank piece of paper, go. Like, I think that's fantastic, man.
Well, you know what? I mean, it's just whatever. I like it too. I mean, but put it this way, it's not. I also got him like a book that's to write stories, and there's questions in it to trigger you of how to write stories because he likes it. He likes stories, and he's kind of a clown about things. So I'm like, oh, it's a good way to encourage. And she loves fashion and sewing, so like we get her stuff that like drives towards that thing just to lead him in a direction, you know. So
I wish my kids read more. They're not. It's a little bit of pulling teeth to get them to read.
yeah.
But don't you feel like, Jamie, your kids have, like, I feel like what's important is that everybody has a thing. It doesn't matter what that thing is. It can be building Legos. It can be writing stories. It can be sewing. It can be, but if you have a thing, then you have a community, most likely. You have somebody else that does that thing. And I feel like when you don't have a thing, that's when you lose direction. So like your kids' thing isn't reading necessarily, but your girls love soccer or they, you know, like, I don't know. Like, I feel like finding our, like my son, you know, for whatever reason, he just loves making comic books. He's got a comic, like, you know, so he makes comic books. And the other day I did this. Yeah. Neil. Yeah. The other one likes to sacrifice small animals to a demon god, but listen, everybody's got his thing, you guys.
That child straight up told me he only really relates to villains.
Yes. That is.
I love that. I would agree. I asked my daughter today on our scoot home from piano. I go, hey, would you rather be a hero or a villain? She goes, a villain. I was like, I love that. You'd be a great villain.
Yeah. My son explained it to us the other day why he likes villains. He's like, I like the bad guys because the bad guys are the bosses. And I realized that, like, yeah, he's the youngest kid. He has no ownership over anything. He just wants to be in charge of something. Yeah. So I think he's like, it's a power thing with him. Oh, wow. Carl Nelson just dropped some hard-hitting truth on you, Jamie. Wow.
I don't think that's actually accurate, to be honest. I think maybe what Carl might be saying, Carl might be saying if you read books, that might be true. But I think, and this is what I say to everyone, this is why we never did Screens till 2. We read with him all the time. And we wouldn't just read one book at bedtime. It would be like 5 or 6 books at bedtime. And we would read. And then even now, like my daughter's been bummed because her brother can read and she can't. She's like, I can't even read. And I go, well, let's start reading books together. And so I went in one day, I got these new books for her. We're always going and getting like new books. And I was like, I go in a room, I'm like, hey, do you want to read? It's called The Amulet. You guys ever read The Amulet? Kate, does your son? It's a Japanese, it's like a Japanese anime comic. This
is his thing. All he wants to do is go to Tokyo.
It's 7 books. My son read it in like 2 days.
Amulet. I gotta write this down.
And so I told River, I'm like, let's start reading The Amulet. You know what else I did? I told Reed he was going away with his mom for a week. And I go, hey, can I get some of the Amulet books? And he goes, why? I go, I want to know what you're reading. So I'm going to read them so that we can talk about it. And I read the first 3 books. And I was like, bro, I read books 1 through 3. And he's like, what'd you think? And like, we could share it. So then I tell my daughter, I'm like, let's read together. And she goes, all right. And she goes, can I just sit on the floor and you read and you show me pictures? And I go, buddy, you're not going to, the way you're going to learn to read better is if I'm showing you the words as I read them. So either we read or you can play your dolls. You're okay. And she's like, I just want to do my dolls. And I was like, all right. And then the next night she wanted to read with me. So we sat there and read. And then like, I've been taking Reed to a new level, my son, where we like, you know what we read last night before bed? Beowulf.
No.
Jeez, really?
It's like this kid's book that's broken down and they break down like these classic stories into like 8 pages. So like I read half the page, then he'd read half because it's like bigger words and harder words. It's still a kid, but they're like bigger words. And it's rad because you know that when I'm reading, he's reading along. And he would have just read it all on his own, but I like reading with him. So I think maybe Carl's thing is like, at least if you encourage them and read with them and then don't just read to them at certain ages, you know, I don't know, whatever. Who knows? There are some kids just like read.
I think Jay might be the most emotionally available parent that's ever been on this show.
Ever. Truly ever.
Well, I had very unemotionally available parents. And
Jay, were you a big reader when you were a kid?
No.
No, me neither.
I didn't start reading till, I was an English major in college, but it wasn't until like, I was like 24 living in Venice and I just started reading like all the Beats and like Ralph Ellison and like all these, like all the great books like of like Sartre and those, all that stuff. I was like super existential, and I like reading a lot. And I started writing a book. I've written scripts, so like,
Right.
I feel like if my kids aren't into sports, which I was diehard of, I'm like, well, let's find whatever they're going to be interested in, I'll be interested in with them. So.
Find their thing.
Yeah.
I was the same. I did it in my 30s. In high school, I had a horrible concussion playing soccer. And I don't think I read 2 words senior year. Like I was stumbling through. And I don't think I read that much in college either. And then in my 30s, I went back and read like Steinbeck, and I was like, oh, this is actually pretty good. Like, but I didn't, as a kid,
Red Pony. He bowed out of the ending of the Red Pony. That's all.
Somebody's banging on my door.
Wow.
Of course.
Great book, 13.
What?
What was that?
I don't know. People are banging on my door. It's probably my wife because she has no idea. I tell her I'm doing a show, and then she's like, hey, what's happening?
She's like, get off the phone.
Pretty much.
I don't know why she sounds like she's
I gotta do it. So we like read. I'm trying to have her read aloud too with me, which I think is super helpful. And then we'll alternate pages and stuff, and then we'll kind of perform. So it's kind of funny. She's starting to perform the voices. You know what's funny? So they do use an iPad. They have an iPad because the kids in school, they get an iPad at school that they use. So they've been using an iPad.
Have a tablet. I mean, like a computer. That's what my kids have.
Yeah. And they, it wasn't even me. Her cousin. They made a movie one Christmas, like 3 or 4 years ago, and they came out and they made a movie in like iMovie where it has like title, graphics, and everything. And so now they shoot movies all the time, like 8 years old, just shooting movies. I'm like,
their mind is going to be blown when they see you in the family stone one Christmas.
Yeah, that's really, they're going to go. They wouldn't recognize me. That was so funny.
Who's that making out with Melissa in the ambulance? That's the name. I don't know her name.
I still, every Christmas, I get that line text to me.
I mean, that movie is great.
It's a great movie.
It's pretty funny.
Yeah.
I do have notes on your performance, but the movie itself,
it's all coming together. Were you a camper as a kid too, or are you adopting all these things as soon? And were you a motorcyclist or a scooter guy? All of a sudden, you're like a guy. Like kids have opened you up.
Well, you know what happened? I got divorced. And when you get divorced, you start thinking about all the things you wanted to do that you didn't do, because when you're married, you usually make decisions as a teen, and a lot of times you want to do something, but you want the other person to be enthusiastic. At least I did. I didn't have the whereabouts to be like, no, let's just do it. Come on, it'll be great. And then when we got divorced, I'm like, I'm fucking camping. I don't give a shit. And we've now camped. Oh, sorry, guys.
No, it's all right, man.
Listen.
It kind of fit in that sentence. It really worked.
Yeah.
It really.
So now we camp on average, like about 4 times a year we'll camp. And then I never had a motorcycle, but I was like, I can't teach my kids that there's a solution for everything and then not have a solution for this Achilles. And I thought it would be and I found it was super affordable, electric, and I was like, I'm going to do it. And I think also I think I lived in a lot of fear most of my adult life. And now I'm just like, no, I'm not going to be afraid of things. I'm just going to take chances and do things and go for it. So
can you Tony Robbins me and help me?
We were camping one time. We're camping, and I hear people at the site next door going, "Get out of here! Get out of here!" And I open up the window, and 10 feet from us is this giant bear. So I'm like, "Hey, get out of there!" And I'm like, "Reed." And he wakes up. He's like, "What's going on?" I go, "Look at the bear." And he's like, "Hey, get out!" He's yelling at the bear. And then the bear just slumbers away. And then my daughter wakes up. She's like, "What's happening?" And I go, "You just missed the bear." And she's like, "Oh, I missed the bear." And now it's like they'll have a comfortability. When I go camping with my kids, I'll say to my daughter, I'm like, she goes, "I got to go to the bathroom." I go, "All right, yeah, go pee over there next to that tree." She walks right over. She pees next to a tree. We go hiking in Will Rogers. She's at a pee. I go, "No one's coming. Go ahead. Pee next to that tree." It's the best. So I didn't do it. It's just things I want to do. Also, when you don't have a dad growing up, you kind of like think about what you wish you had done if you had a dad. So now that I'm a dad, I'm like, I cook all their meals. I give them independence, the zip line. Like I want my kids to take more risks, but they're like,
what is is there input from the other half saying like, are you taking our kids on a Vespa? Are you taking?
So when I got the Vespa, I was like, I got it. And I'm like, I don't know how she's going to respond to this. And I'm going to have to find the way to communicate this. And then I was like sitting there and I'm like, you know what? I make really good decisions as a parent. I'm a really good parent. I'm very cautious. I'm safe. And not only do I not want to live in a place of fear, I don't want my kids to. So I said, hey, who wants to go on a Vespa ride? And my son was like, I do. So I took him around the block, and then I came back and I switched his sister out. And I did that for like 2 hours straight when I got the Vespa. And I got back and I texted my ex and I go, hey, I just want to let you know, I bought a Vespa. It's electric. It's very safe. I'm very cautious and I don't go crazy with it, but I've been taking the kids on it and I'm going to take the kids on it. And I just want to let you know that so you don't think I'm doing something that you're unaware of what I'm doing, but I would never put them in harm's way. And she wrote back like, I really appreciate you telling me. If you say it's safe, I trust you. And I'm like, great. And then later that day I texted her, I'm like, are you around for a pop-in? And she's like, yeah. And I just pulled up on the front lawn with my daughter in the front. She came out and she's just like, look at you guys. Sees my daughter like all proud with this big smile. And 2 days later, she was like, we were on the phone and she's like, hey, so that Vespa. And I go, yeah. She's like, I don't know. I just like kind of want to get one now. And I'm like, you should. Because I said to her, I'm like, let me teach you how to ride it. And you should take them out. Because I kept saying to her, I'm like, you have no idea being this close to them, like what it's like. And like, do you know Mike Bertolina? Anybody know Mike?
Mm-hmm.
Anyway, he came over for dinner the other night. His dad just passed away, and his dad used to have an old motorcycle, and his dad would go around the neighborhood and pick up different kids and ride them. Bertolina said to me, he goes, your kids are never going to forget that. They're going to remember
No. Of course
their
not.
whole life. And I'm like, yeah, it's so, dude, we drive by people, and my son goes, hey, man, and they're just like, and he's just like, whatever, peace, I'm on a vest, you know what I mean? It's just,
You're also in a pretty low-key neighborhood, I think, where it's, you know, it's not like you're getting on the freeway and going up the 405 on
the busiest streets we ride on are like Centinela, Lincoln, Venice.
I will say, there's a woman that lives in Burbank who's a friend of ours who has 4 children. So I don't trust her. But she has like a bike that has like one of those racks on the back that they all get in and get strapped in. And I think it's beautiful. I think it's amazing. And it's definitely outside of my comfort zone with the drivers in Burbank. It just definitely is.
Right?
What'd you say?
It's electric.
It's electric. Yes.
Yep.
Yes. Yeah. So she can get up the hills and whatnot.
I had a motorcycle in college and went over the handlebars. And like I was going around a corner and it kind of skidded out and I went over the handlebars. You know, it happens in a flash, and all of a sudden it was like, where's my bike? And I was sitting on the pavement, but luckily I had leather on and a helmet and everything. And the car behind me was like 12 inches from the back of my head. I was like 19 years old. I was like, okay. And I was like a half mile from my house, and I just pushed the motorcycle back to my house. I was like shaking, like, oh my God. Yeah. Anyway.
Jay, if you don't mind my asking if this is too invasive, please feel free not to answer, but what is the custody schedule for you guys? Do you have your kids all the time or?
50, we're 50-50.
Okay. So real talk here.
Yeah.
Do you feel like it's it's harder, obviously, that you are solo by yourself when you have your kids, but do you feel like because your time is limited with them, that it makes it easier to be a baller parent? Because I will tell you, just because I get fatigued.
Yeah.
Like
no, I was doing all this when I was together. Like I built Splinter City in the backyard, which had like a golf ball Plinko, a race car for Hot Wheels, and like obstacle course. Like this is what I dig. It is hard. What I'll do is, and this is what I did when I was married too, is I would get up at 5 and do writing from 5 to 7 so I could get out of the way so that I could be there for breakfast, take him to school, and I have a flexible schedule. I also have kind of given up stand-up. So when I do stand-up just to give you an idea, I've been out of like divorce separated for almost 2.5 years. And so if you break that down, that's like 1.25.
That's one pandemic.
Yeah, no, but like if with 50-50 custody, that's 1.25 years.
Oh yeah.
And I had a babysitter one night till 8:30.
Yeah.
So when I'm home, I'm with them. I don't need anyone else to be there. I like to be there. And I also but we cover each other. We have a really good co-parenting. Like I'm like covering her right now. Her dad is at my house right now with my kids so that I could come do this. You know what I mean? I made dinner for him, you know. So we have a very good co-parenting, and like I call her sometimes and I'll be like, I'll text and go, hey, can you chat? And she'll say, yeah. And then I'll call her and be like, hey, are you open to some parenting feedback? Something I've been working on with the kids, like a way to communicate with them. And she's like, yeah. And I said to her, I'm like, I feel like sometimes you get a little uncomfortable when the kids talk about divorce. And she goes, I get very uncomfortable. And I go, well, I think the kids are going to lead. They need us to lead them how to feel about it. And if we're comfortable and we embrace it and we talk to them openly and honestly, it's going to make it easier for them. And we just can have these honest conversations. And she's like, I like that. And then we'll just talk about it. And then she gives me plenty of advice on stuff that I'm not very good at, like finances. You know what I mean?
Yeah. She's like, how about buy some cheeseburgers instead of a zip line? Just spitballing here. Just spitballing.
My kids don't even eat cheeseburgers.
I love that you're so good about it because it is. I
know, Jason. Trust me, I tried, bro. I've tried. They don't like them.
I don't understand this concept.
I don't either, bro. I have tried. Name a way. I've tried. Even to the point where we're doing a fundraiser for the kids' school where the burger lounge, if you went to the burger lounge, 10%. I'm like, all right, we're getting burgers. They take a bite. I'm like, what do you think? And they're like, nah. I go, take 3 bites for me, okay? I didn't really like it, Dad. Okay. And then I tried again. I made I'm going to make cool burgers. I made tacos for me and my daughter. I made my son a cheeseburger. He's like, nah, I'm good. But the thing is, he doesn't like salmon. I make salmon once a week. He'll eat the salmon and be like,
yeah, I understand that.
Just had it tonight, 2 hours ago. I just made salmon. Although for Hannah won't eat salmon, so I actually bought 8 shrimp, and I cooked the shrimp for her. I end up cooking separate meals because the kids, they don't eat the same foods. It's insane. Yeah. So I made salmon for the rest of us, but then I made a few shrimp just for Hannah on the one side, and even Claire was like shoveling the salmon down. But yeah.
Ugh,
that's funny, dude. That is.
So to answer your question, I don't know if I answered it, but I do. There are some times where you like I just had the kids for a 9-day stretch, and I'm on crutches. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So that was very overwhelming. But I prepared myself, and then it got to a point where I was just I called my ex. I'm like, yo, can we figure something out for when we switch? Because I'm like, I need to get to work. I'm taking, and the kids were in camp getting out at 3. You drop your kids at 9, you're picking up at 3, physical therapy in between. It's hard to get a writing rhythm,
Right.
And she was like, oh my God, I hear you. Anything I can do. And we just know that the kids are more important, and we'll step up. I don't know what I'm saying, but you get
it. To have the discipline to get out. I had the exact same schedule from 5 to 7, and then, except from 5 to 7, I just slept. And then I made breakfast and got them to school. So we had very similar. In my brain, I was going to get up at 5 and write, but I got up at 7 and then actually, no, I woke up at 5. I did wake up at 5.
Yeah.
Coffee, and I think I watched.
Old prostate. He has to pee a lot.
Something.
There is the thing. Put it this way. It's people who aren't divorced are always like, oh my God, you love those days when it's just you. And I'm like, yeah, that's when I take full advantage of my time. And I get social things in. I'll get stand-up in and I get anything else I need to do for me or work, so that when I'm with them, I'll get up earlier to do that work so that I can be present, because I didn't have anyone present for me. At the same time, what parents who are not divorced don't realize is every time your kids that day when they go to the other parent, it you feel a little, it hurts a little.
Mm.
I can't imagine.
And then but you do your best. You do your best, and you also have to give space to the other person and let them know and support your kids because they don't love it.
Were you a little bit against your ex getting a Vespa because you're like, no, the Vespa's my thing?
No, not at all. I wanted to teach her, and I wanted her to I want her to have just as many great things with them as possible. Even if there's something I'm learning that they like better, I tell her, I'm like, hey, you know what? One of them's been liking, and then she'll be like, oh, I love that. I'm gonna try that. And sometimes she'll tell me things they're doing too, or the kids end up telling me, and I'm like, oh, and then I'll be like, the kids told me you're doing this. You cool if I do that? And she's always like, yeah, we just want them to have the best experience possible, because that's all.
It's great that you guys have such great transparency too. The transparency, because a lot of times families will try to pit the one parent against the other parent, and I think that's such a crappy thing.
Never, bro.
How long did it take you guys to get to this point? Was it instant, or was it a work? And
straight up, no lie, it's been about 2.5 years, and I'm not kidding. I'd say we've had 2 bumps in the road in 2.5 years, and those were me saying something, her saying something back, but us both being a little snarky.
Okay.
both times I got home and I texted him like, hey, I apologize. I understand you're under some stress. I shouldn't, I'm just like, no, I want nothing. I want zero turmoil. I'm going to nip it in the bud immediately. If I have to say I'm wrong, I don't give a fuck, because there's just,
he doesn't give a jacuzzi, honey.
I don't give a jacuzzi. It's just too much. It's like, you probably wouldn't do that when you're married, because you're like, where they going? Where you going to go? But when you're in this kind of situation, I just look at it. I'm like, oh no, I don't want anything to get in the way of, like, if my kids need her or want her or whatever it is, I don't want them to feel any tension. You know what I mean? I just don't. It's just not. It's just.
It's almost like a healthier relationship now than most marriages I know.
Well, being divorced is enough on those kids already. You know what I mean? It's like, that's something that they take on. Like, even as great as we do as co-parents, it's still like a little annoying things for them. Like, oh, I don't have my sloth teddy bear. It's at mom's house. You know what I mean? But I moved so that we're a 10-minute walk from each other. So we can, we both equidistant to their school, their friend, it's like, very, it's whatever,
Which one of you told them that it was their fault you guys were getting a divorce? Was that you or your wife that told them that it was their fault?
I asked that she tell them.
Yeah. That was smart. That was smart. Yeah.
Your fault. Dude, you are so well. When's the book coming? You need to write a book.
You do.
Parenting.
Or start a pyramid scheme where we pay you money.
Stories. I'm always like, God dang that guy. Unless it's just a giant Instagram facade and you really are a mess. You are really pulling it together.
A marketing person who does all it. No. Put it this way: if I could get paid to just be a dad, and I would love it. It's just I can't.
I know where you can pay to be a dad, because it's constantly money going out for them, and camps and books and supplies, school supplies we just get all our school supplies for the year. So
Jamie, this is when you need to go to a public school. I'm telling you, the school supplies are there for the kids.
Not here. We're public and we still have to supply it.
Where Burbank?
I'm slightly north of Scranton, Pennsylvania.
Oh, nice, man.
Yeah. Jay, any closing words of wisdom that you've learned in your time? I just love it because, we kind of came up together doing stand-up and bartending across the street at the World. And it's funny to see where we've both kind of landed. And it's great to see because you're such a good dad, and I see the posts with the kids and stuff. And, it's awesome to see, man. Is there anything else? I just love all the little insight. I love the one about your son at the beach. I mean, that one alone is just fantastic.
I know. I'm actually going to spread my legs here and wait for some sage wisdom.
I tell them I'm the opposite. My kids go, it's not, they're fighting all the time and they go, it's not fair. And I go, get used to it. Life's not fair, which is a terrible thing to say.
It's not untrue.
And it's not untrue. Life is a horrible, horrible.
One time my son said to me, we're driving, and he goes, Dad, what's going to happen to me? And I go, what do you mean? He's like, what's my life going to be? And I go, I don't know, buddy. I go, but all you really need to know is 3 things. Be kind, work hard, have fun. And if you do those 3 things, you let your life open in front of you and it'll reveal itself to you. You don't have to worry about trying to do anything except those 3 things. And he was like, okay.
Ladies and gentlemen, Jay Larson.
Yeah, come on.
So
Yeah.
Anything you want to promote where people coming out? The Conan Moore show is so funny. Any guys out there who are golfers or women who are golf fans, it's on the Golf Path.
Go to Instagram, Golf Line Podcast. That's my new golf podcast coming out next month. You can see it back. Right there.
Oh, nice.
Record.
When it does come, we'll share it. Yeah, I love it.
Cool.
Jay, also, I don't know if you can see in the private chat, I put the address of that place and the name of that place in Hollywood, the Cantina.
I'm definitely going to look that up. If they let kids in there, I'm going to blow my kids' minds.
Yeah, they really did a nice touch with it. So
Pull up on the Vespa and tear it up.
oh my God.
I'll have to wait a little bit before I can go.
Dude, I know you're crazy right now. Thank you for taking the time on crutches.
That was fun. Thanks for having me.
And getting help. Please come back. Dude, the words of wisdom are fantastic. I love it. All right, ladies and gentlemen, Jay Larson.
Bye, buddy.
Bye, Jay. Also, goodbye, gentlemen.
Kate Mulligan has a previous engagement this evening. We're going to let her go. Kate, as always,
Just go get murdered in a hotel.
I was going to say, it looks, Kate, I'm going to be honest, it looks like you're in the middle of a standoff.
Show, Jason, we have a very special Thursday show this week.
Yes, we do.
Yes. Do you want to give a little shout out?
This Thursday, Meredith Masony will be joining us for a special Thursday night show, 10 p.m. Eastern, 7 p.m. Pacific. And she's about to embark on a new tour. And so she's going to stop by and impart some fantastic mommy wisdom.
Yeah. They are a huge mom influencer group. The three of them go out and they tour the countries doing stand-up. So she's going to come out. We're going to do some comedy bits, and we're going to promote her upcoming shows that she's traveling the country for. So, Kate Mulligan, we love you. Thanks for popping in.
Thank you so much. I'll see you guys on Thursday.
See you, buddy.
Bye, Kate.
Larson's great, isn't he? That's fantastic.
Dude, he puts me to shame as a father. Like I was a little emotional when he was talking about the stuff with his dad or with like his son on the beach. That was pretty moving stuff.
Kind of a jerk. He's like such a good dad that he makes you feel guilty about how bad of parents we are.
He blasted you the second he got in, which warmed me to him immediately.
I know. That's our old. We used to bartend across the street from each other, so we would just kind of.
We were rival gangs.
Yeah, all we did was drink. Yeah, we were rival gangs, and then we did stand up together. So I love that cat. Super funny. Hey, let's start our second half of the show here. We got our parents panel. We're coming in. We got some great people coming in, and we got a lot to talk about. I was going to talk about Claire's joke book, but we already kind of got into that. But we got a lot of stuff to talk about. We have our resident therapist, who's always the words of wisdom. Our resident mom, Celia Behar, is here. And of course, from Better Things, one of my pals and a fantastic actor, Mr. Greg Cromer's here. Come on in, gang.
Hi, guys.
Guys.
Hey.
Hi.
Are we on?
We are.
Couple minutes late. Greg's one of my favorite influencers. When he posts stuff on Instagram, it makes me laugh harder than anybody. It's pretty fun because you play it like you're one of the biggest influencers on the planet, and you are.
Man. Well, I am in my own head. No, the problem is I don't know how to do it, and so I choose to make fun of it. So then I feel better about not knowing how to do it. You know what I'm saying? So
Sure.
That's what I do with my whole life.
I was going to say that's what most of us do with pretty much everything. Everything we don't know how to do, we make fun of. I'm like, look at that stupid guy.
It's so dumb. Why would you want to do that?
Who would do that?
Yeah,
and
everyone's
our therapist tonight. Celia, any words of wisdom for this week? We're all heading back to school. Thank God we're going back to school with the kids.
Yeah, although I was just listening to you guys talk about school supplies, and Kate's out of her mind. You only have free school supplies in LA to a certain age. Past elementary school, or as they say where Jason lives, elementary school. You have to, you got to pay for it. I'm like hemorrhaging money on Amazon. Yeah.
My wife,
that is
bought all new supplies for the kids this year. She bought pencils and she bought crayons, even though I pulled this out of every drawer of their room. There's probably 2,000 pencils and crayons and markers. And she's like, no, let's get him a new set of crayons. So,
no, I mean, honestly, my youngest has those bins on top of it, the drawer, and it's like craft. And yet still I had to get her, a bunch of new stuff. And then what was great was all of her stuff only came to $70. And then the teenager only needed, 5 things. Hers came over to 100 because they all had to be the special brands and the color she wanted and the whole thing. I'm like, I'm sorry, you're very bougie all of a sudden. I don't exactly know who raised you, but it was not this Jewish mother. I've had it. It was so.
We got a new backpack. She has each year of school. She has a backpack with her name on it, Hannah and Claire. We have 4. She has 4 backpacks. They all still work. They're a little dirtier than they were when they were brand spanking new. None of the zippers are broken. Totally fine, but she's like, let's get her a new one for $60 or 120. I don't know how much a backpack is.
I went to orientation for my youngest one yesterday with my ex-husband and his wife, which we all divided and conquered and went to different lines. And so, but me and his new wife, we were hanging out together. in line with my daughter, and we ended up like in different sections, like picking up things for her, around the school and signing them out together. And at one point I just looked at her and I was like, you realize, Jennifer, that everybody here thinks that, we're lesbians right now. And like, this is our kid. Because my ex was like nowhere. He was doing something else completely. And of course, my daughter is just like, yeah, that'd be awesome.
27. We're the same. We also have, my wife ordered monogrammed pencil boxes, like a pop.
I remember that from last year.
On it.
Dude,
And so she has like 4 of them in a room, and they're just jammed with pencils from last year. It's Greg. Are you going through the same thing?
Oh, are you kidding? I have that crayon box you just showed. We have an ottoman. One of these ottomans. It's a giant round ottoman that you can store things in. And I think you're meant to be able to store a number of different things in it. However, we just have about 14 of those crayon boxes you just showed that I don't think anybody's even sniffed in about 6 months.
Yeah.
And it's new, like you said, it's new backpacks. I feel like now they bring thermoses everywhere. Everybody's got water. You got to be hydrated at all times. I don't care if it's walking from the couch to the fridge. You better hydrate on the way there. So they've all got, they're hydro flasks. We used to have thermoses. Now they're hydro flasks. So they have to take those everywhere they go. And, they're 40, 50, 60 bucks a pop. And they go to school, and guaranteed, each kid's going to go through 4 to 6 of them a school year. It's insane.
My wife also bought stickers, like stickers that have the name, which those were expensive. Like the stickers that are obviously going to come off in the dishwasher. I go, I have one of those. It's called this giant Sharpie marker that I go, Taylor, on I just write it as big as humanly possible on everything they touch.
Yep.
So that way, if it gets
Greg.
lost, they know it's theirs. And also nobody will want to steal it at that point or take it home with them. Yeah.
Yeah. You can peel a sticker off.
I'm going to take a hard stance this year, and if the supply is not something that Jace will use in his eventual tenure in prison, I'm not buying it.
I took a hard stance on not getting another puppy, and
How'd
as
that
we
go,
speak,
Greg?
we got another one running around as we speak.
That's really very funny.
That was my hard stance.
Backpack that rolls, because my youngest one's only, even though she's about to be 11, she only weighs like 65 pounds. And the books that we just got from middle school, like my grown, ex-husband was like, oh my God, like carrying them around. So we ended up having to get her a backpack that she's going to have to wheel, because I'm pretty sure if I put all the books in her hand, she would just be like, whoop, and like tip over completely. There's no way. I mean, all of this stuff. And it's just, and every year I'm like, I'm not going to buy her a new this, that, and the other thing, but I always do. And now she's going to have a uniform. And yet I still had to spend over $100 on just like the uniform stuff. And it's a gym uniform and it's a school uniform. Why?
Greg, I have a question for you, Greg. Have you ever taken a dad alone vacation? You go and play poker. You go and play poker occasionally, I believe. But that's not a vacation. That's a job for you.
No, yeah. The only times it's any trip that I'll take alone is usually to go out and play poker, because it's not a social thing. You don't go with friends, you don't go with family, you don't go with a wife, you don't go with a buddy, because you're sitting there. It's work, yeah. But that said, I may be going back to St. Louis for the first time for just a dad vacation this October. I was gonna go for the last home series for the Cardinals baseball season, because we got 3, Molina, Wainwright, and Pujols are all retiring. But now it looks like they may make the playoffs, so I may do it on the playoff weekend. Anyway, it'll be baseball weekend in St. Louis for me at some point in October.
And just with the guys. Now, Celia, as a therapist, I've been trying to tell everyone that I think this is the way to do it. That each parent should take a separate vacation by themselves once a year.
Yeah, you're not wrong.
I mean, I also think that we shouldn't sleep in the same bed, but people are still fighting me on that. Am I the crazy one?
No,
I mean, I have a whole bit about it.
I mean, Helen Bottom Carter and, Tim, whatever, they have like different houses that attach, with like a hallway across like something. I'm like, that might work. I mean,
That's the end of my bit. That's the Spencer Tracy and Katharine Hepburn had 2 homes connected by a tunnel, right?
Yeah. I mean, I'd be into that, I suppose. I mean, well, first of all, as far as the sleep goes, I mean, as long as everybody sleeps, I don't really think it should matter if you guys sleep in different bedrooms. But yes, I think that you should have a dad vacation, mom vacation away with friends without whatever. Yeah, absolutely. Why do you have to do everything together? That's not even healthy. I mean, it's really not healthy.
Couldn't agree more. Because we took a vacation. We talked about this, Greg. Have you done this? It's like, hey, everyone's like, how was your vacation? Fantastic. We slept all 4 of us in one room for 12 nights. It was awesome.
Dude,
it was really
great. Invariably, when you get home from vacation, you need to rest for a week or 2. I mean, it's just, it's a beach vacation. You've got 65 pounds of, minimum chairs and umbrellas and this, that, and the other thing. Going out to the beach every day. Nobody's sleeping in because the kids want to get up and see stuff. And it's fun. Like, you're having fun while you're doing it, but it's just exhausting, man. Like, at the end of it.
Mention how much sand comes back with every child.
Oh, yeah. Yes.
I'm always kind of amazed with girls how much a vagina can hold as far as sand's concerned. They'll be like standing in the shower and then they like shake and like half the beach comes out and you're like, what were you doing? Exactly.
Honestly, in my whole life, I've never had that problem where I was amazed how much a vagina can hold. It's never been a problem for me. I just was like, never.
I don't doubt that.
Thank you. I like to hit jokes. I like that. That was pretty good.
Hey, do you know, speaking of sand, do you know the trick to getting the sand off when you leave the beach?
No, dry?
Baby powder. You set them on the back of the car and you throw baby powder all over them and the sand disappears. It's like, it's crazy.
Isn't baby powder, like, weren't people getting cancer from it?
What aren't people getting cancer from at this point?
Fair enough. Sure.
Yeah, I know. We use baby powder. Sometimes if I didn't have baby powder, I just cover them in cigarette butts.
I was just going to say.
I use asbestos. I cover them in asbestos, and it takes the sand right off. It's fantastic.
Exactly.
Yeah. Greg, I got to tell you.
I spray them with kerosene.
Yeah, why not? Greg, I'm obsessed with Better Things, by the way. I just have to tell you.
Yeah, there it is.
With it. I've been watching it awesome. But I mean, do people like get mad at you? Or, like, do they talk to you like you're on the show, like you're part of you're him?
No, I think I would have to be a better actor for that to happen. But no, people are everybody's really cool about it. I think the only show I think I've ever done where people were a little bit, they didn't know how to take me. When I did Community way back when, I was this kind of guy that everybody thought was too good to be true for a while, but then it turns out that it's possible that I was really evil. And I'd get questions about that as far as like, but it wasn't really like thinking I'm like my character. They were always asking me, is he going to turn? Is he going to be evil? And I'm like, I have no idea if I'll even show up on the show again. It wasn't, you know what I mean? So,
right.
But no, I don't know. Everybody's really cool. Nobody identifies me with like, I mean, I guess people, in a certain way, but that character has, in the beginning, it was a real deadbeat. And now this final season, I mean, by now I've kind of turned a corner. So actually most people are rooting for my character.
I just watched, I stopped watching last night. I was up to no joke. I was up to 1:30 in the morning watching it because I love it. And I think that what she's done for single moms, especially single moms that are older, she's my age, I think, on the show, Pamela. And, I'm single. I have 2 daughters and I talk to them the way that she talks to her kids. And my oldest daughter and I always crack over the scene when they start yelling the C word at each other, her and the oldest one, and laughing because I'm like, that would happen to her and I. But I watched the episode when she came in and, I forget her best friend's name and who was in Orange is the New Black and, comes in and finds
Sonny,
her friend in there and just falls apart.
Yeah. Yep.
I do believe, Greg, you're kind of the reason Greg and I met was because we kept going out for, I think, jerky guys. I think for the most part, I would see you. Yeah, I made a living as a jerk for a long time on television. I would look at the breakdown, and I knew there were like you and about 3 other guys I knew I was going to see that day. So I'm like, okay, good. I'll see some of my friends. If nothing else, I'll see Jamie. I was talking to Jason recently, and I auditioned for you might have got it. I auditioned for Racist Cop in some show. I can't even remember what show it was, but the title was Racist Cop. And I was like, do I even have to audition? I feel like this should be an offer only. And I didn't get it. I was like, and then I thought about you. I go, Kramer must have got it.
husband, he always gets cast as like the racist cop or the racist, somebody. And he was actually.
I know a lot of actors who can play racist pretty well, I guess.
Or
yeah, man.
True.
No, I'm either.
I attract a certain type.
I'm either a chauvinist or like a rapist or some sort of a murderer or just a really, really bad, like a frat guy that's just gone way wrong and way too far with a lot of things. Were
you a full-blown rapist in something?
Oh yeah, man. I've been a rapist twice.
I'm just pulling that clip out and using it.
Somebody pull up the IMDb page.
I just did. Like I was like, what was it?
So I played one in Carnival. I played a young Clancy Brown, and I had to with my sister on the show, and it was a young Clancy Brown. It was a flashback scene on Carnival, and I had to do that. And the audition, basically, I went in, and they go, this is pretty uncomfortable, but there's a chair. Have at it. And I raped the chair in the audition.
Wow. Now I didn't have to. I was in the shows. I was convicted of rape, or I was being sought after for rape, but there was no raping in the scenes. Like I didn't do any rape, and I definitely didn't rape a chair. But
we had no nudity. We had no nudity, but it was violent, and honestly, it was the hardest thing I ever shot. I was like, I couldn't really do it. And the director was like, no, man, you got to get in there. You got to get on in there. And I was like,
you and the chair just not have any chemistry?
I'm having troubles, man. I'm having some real problems with this thing. And we were like, it was like in the 1800s because it was Carnival. And
let's see if it was a recliner. If it was a recliner, you'd have been all over it.
That was the 1930s. Yeah, I'm all over it. But the 1800s,
that's why they call them easy chairs, because that's like.
That's exactly right. That's exactly right.
That makes sense. Is that why they call them easy chairs?
Of course, it's very difficult.
Really? That makes
that's what it is.
Jamie, I did a show, I don't know, years ago called Justified, and I was kind of another deadbeat stoner. Bookie, I owed a bunch of money to a bunch of people, and I took this one girl hostage, and I can't remember the actress's name, but she was very like, she's like, yeah, do whatever you got to do, and basically there's a part where I take a knife, I hold it to her like throat or something like that, and I throw her down over the couch, and it was the first time I ever had a scene like that, and I didn't know. I'm like, how do I do? How far do we go with this? Because you don't want it to look fake and like.
Right.
But it was a really uncomfortable and hard thing to do, because some actors want you to go for it and just go all the way. And then others are like, okay, let's stage this out. And, and I don't remember what I ended up doing, but I just know I wasn't comfortable with that whole scene. And I think the only way to do it is to really go for it. But, you have to make sure when it comes to like physical stuff, if there's no stunt people involved, it's kind of a tough thing to figure out. I don't know if you've had anything like that, but
nowadays
I know what you did to a chair.
In that chair. Actually, I still have the chair. They let me keep it, and the chair and I we're cool. We're
totally
cool.
Nobody's sitting in it after that.
What was doing way back when, right? That was his whole thing with the chair. It was just an audition of some kind. It was like Gestalt therapy meets an audition when Clint was just like talking to a chair. That was his thing. Was that what it was?
That was it. Yeah, he had the chair thing too. There's a lot of stuff with chairs.
There is something called Gestalt therapy when you talk to an empty chair. So maybe that's what everyone's just borrowing on that when they're talking to you guys.
What's going on with chairs that I didn't know
now? Because nowadays, especially as the father of a daughter, 2 daughters, that there's intimacy coordinators. Because I do feel like back in the day, it was easy to be more cavalier as the guy, and women always would be like going along with stuff because nobody wanted to get fired. And there is kind of a weird power position between the men and women when you shoot, and I feel like it's much better now. I know some guys are fighting it and getting in trouble for it, but it's like Sean Bean just like literally yesterday said something.
He just said something about it.
He was saying, it loses all of its spontaneity, and it feels so, it's too much framed. And then somebody commented, you mean like stunts where they try to make it look natural because they're good actors, and lit him up and go, yeah, exactly. So it is it's hard to get lost in the moment, but you're supposed to be ABC. Here's what you can, I totally get it.
Yeah.
And as a woman, I can see, it's be like, I don't want this guy. I just met this guy this morning in makeup. This guy is climbing all over. Yeah, it's weird. It's creepy.
When I was an actress, especially when I did shows in New York, and like when you were cast with somebody that you couldn't stand, and then you had to make out on stage, and they'd like face rape you every time. I mean, it was just the worst, because you also have like an audience, and you're like, oh, can they tell like there's drool coming down my face, like, ugh, and like, can I just quit this show? And you knew you had to get to the run and do it every single night, and like hated that person. You had to find something to like about them, and that I don't miss theater for that reason. That's why I became.
All right. Well, obviously, from our chit chat, everyone here can tell that we are fantastic parents. I believe. Yeah. So here's what I want to end this with tonight. I found this thing, and it talks about a psychologist shares the 4 styles of parenting and the type that researchers say is the most successful. And I want to see what kind of parents each of you guys are, and
I'm not
successful. So here's the 4. Here's the first one. The first one is, there's 4 of them: the permissive parent, the authoritative parent, the neglectful parent, and the authoritarian parent. Celia probably knows all of this already. Permissive parent: high responsiveness, low demandingness, communicates openly and usually lets their kids decide for themselves rather than giving direction. Rules and expectations are either not set or rarely enforced. Typically goes through great lengths to keep their kids happy, sometimes at their own expense. I don't feel like any of us are that parent. Does anyone know someone like that?
Yep.
Yes.
Are you that? Celia?
No, I know people like that. No, my kids wish I was that. No, absolutely not.
I don't know. Greg, do you know anyone who's like the permissive? I know somebody who's just like, they will never say no to their kid.
Oh, I know some. I marvel at how they go about their lives and get anything done. But I definitely know some, but I am not. A couple of those things in there, I shade towards sometimes, like as far as you most of us will do things for the kids at our own expense. That's what most every day is, really. Sometimes we're into it, but I don't want to stand in line at Six Flags for 14 hours to ride Goliath at age 50. So I'm definitely doing some of that, but I know parents like that. I'm definitely not that one. No, I'm not that parent.
So here's the second one: the authoritative parent. High responsiveness, high demandingness, sets clear rules and expectations for their kids while practicing flexibility and understanding. Communicates frequently. They listen to and take into consideration their children's thoughts, feelings, and opinions. Allows natural consequences to occur. Example: kid fails quiz because they didn't study, but uses those opportunities to help their kids reflect and learn.
That's me.
Is that you?
I think that's me too.
Authoritative parents are nurturing, supportive, and often in tune with their children's needs. They guide their children through open and honest discussions to teach values and reasoning. Kids who have authoritative parents tend to be self-disciplined and can think for themselves. We're all going to say that stuff, right? I bet you if you took a poll, 99% of parents would go, "That's me. I'm killing it. I'm
almost positive that I'm mixed authoritative and authoritarian, which we'll get to. Like I have some authoritarian in me for sure.
Yeah. And then the neglectful parent, low responsiveness, low demand. This is the guy I wish I truly wish I was. Low responsiveness, low demandingness, lets their kids mostly fend for themselves, perhaps because they are indifferent to their needs or are uninvolved, overwhelmed with other things. Offers little nurturance, guidance, and attention. Often struggles with their own self-esteem issues and has a hard time forming close relationships. Actually, there's a couple things in there that I kind of identify with a little bit.
Wow.
I have a friend, and if he's watching, he knows who he is, but he
which type is behind the chairs?
Sorry.
My buddy lives down in Manhattan Beach, and he's got his office is in the garage, and he's got 5 kids. And I would say that a good portion of what you just said applies to him, because he also talks to a guy weekly that they call the Fish Man, and that Fish Man delivers cannabis to your door. And I think he likes to partake in that. And then I asked him, I said, how do you do that with 5 kids? And he says, how do you not?
Yeah, I'm with you. I think
But
that's
you know,
funny.
the kids just literally, it's like Lord of the Flies down in Manhattan Beach. These kids just run, like when he was 3, his kid was just running up and down the streets. But I tell you what, the kids are great, and it's worked out. So maybe there's something to being the neglected.
Resilient. Their kids are resilient.
They
figure
really
it out.
are. They really
I
are.
think sometimes like latchkey kids go on to be super successful because they had to go to the kitchen at 3 and learn how to make a sandwich. Like they were going to starve to death otherwise.
Or,
I
or
do
bong
believe
out of
it.
an apple. Whichever.
Yeah. I mean, hey, by the way, what did that guy do for a business? It sounds like a kind of guy who runs like an online, one of those bookie sites that picks up my 4-star pick this week. The Jets +3. You gotta take them for 500.
Right.
And
That's
that guy,
right.
and some guy's watching that, going, "Yeah, the Jets."
Yeah.
What kind of business did he have coming out of his garage?
Well, he had a business. His wife has a great job, and he worked in insurance for a while, and now he's branched off and he's doing his own thing. It's like domains for companies and stuff like that. Tech stuff.
I thought you were going to say
For cannabis companies, or I mean, you think he'd get a kickback?
How did you?
I don't know. I think really what he does for a living is golf. Like every time I talk to him, he's like, "Yeah, meeting up with the guys and playing 18 today, or going surfing." I don't know, man. He's got it down. Whatever he's doing.
He didn't take the setup to go. Actually, he runs a parenting show on Tuesday nights, I believe.
Yes, exactly.
He works with this guy out of Pennsylvania. The whole thing's very suspect.
Very weird.
Sometimes referred to as uninvolved parenting. By the way, that's a pretty great term. Uninvolved parenting. It sounds like a conscious decision to go like, look, I could get involved. Sometimes it's better to just not get involved. You know what? And there is certain value in some of that. Like you were just saying, sometimes when their kids are left to their own devices to figure it out, they end up better for it in the long run.
Yeah, sure.
This style is exemplified by an overall sense of indifference, neglectful.
I love that.
Hey, Dad, what do you think about this? Honestly,
yeah,
I
don't care.
I know parents like that, man. I do.
I get a participation trophy for soccer. Don't care. Yeah. Keep moving. Keep moving.
Yep.
They can also be seen as cold and uncaring, but not always intentionally, as they are often struggling with their own issues.
I've had nights like that. I feel
like every parent is going to say, "Oh, I'm the authoritative parent." But when if you showed this to our kids, the kids would go, "Oh, he's neglectful."
That's where you get the true answers. You got to ask the kids these questions.
Well, read authoritarian, because I think that one is.
Yeah, what's that?
Authoritarian parent, high demandingness, low responsiveness, enforces strict rules with little consideration of their kids' feelings or social, emotional, and behavioral needs. Often says, "Because I said so," when their kid questions. By the way, it seems like they're saying that's not the right words to say. I feel like that's the right words when the kid questions the reasons behind a rule or consequence. Communication is mostly one way from parent to child. This rigid parenting style uses stern discipline, often justified as tough love. In an attempt to be in full control, authoritarian parents often talk to their children without wanting input or feedback.
Like I said, I think I can be authoritative and authoritarian depending on what day you catch me and how much sleep I've had.
Here's how I know I'm a little bit of the neglectful parent, because I'm having a real problem discerning the difference between authoritarian and authoritative. They're such similar words that I know they're totally different, but I don't care. I just don't care. So I guess in some ways I'm a neglectful parent.
Yeah, I feel like we all probably step over those lines of each of them on given days.
Yeah,
I would say authoritative until the 15th time she drops her wet towel on the floor. And I have to go down the street, drag her back from the neighbor's house, being a jerk because I'm like, how many times do I have to tell you to just, you're there. There's a hook. It's right. It's almost like you went out of your way to not just hang it on the hook and drop. And then why? Because I said so. And then all of a sudden I'm the worst parent on earth.
Yeah.
Well,
no, it's the same thing with lights, like the room lights. It's you feel like the kid has gone around and just turned all the lights on for no reason and left the house. Door open, like there's no hinge on it. It won't close. The switch, I brought my kid up one time in his room and I said, look, you see the switch here? The crazy thing about this is watch that light. And he looked at the light and I said, now look at my finger. And I pressed the thing. I go, look at it turned can you believe what's happened? You just turn it on and off like that, but you don't know how to turn it off. And so finally they're starting to get it a little bit, but they don't care. And to your point about because I said so, I will explain something a couple of times, like why we're not going to get ice cream on the way home from dinner. And I'll explain it maybe twice. And if I have to say it again, then it turns into because I said so, because that means the discussion is over.
Wait, how old are your kids?
Mine are not. My daughter will be 10 in October and my son is 7.
Yeah, wait, the because I said so stuff, wait till you get to the teen years because it doesn't fly at all anymore. And there are times where I'm like, yeah, I know that's really interesting that you and your friends want to go to, I don't know, Universal and then see if you can go get into a bar later because someone's friend is letting them do that with their parent, but no. And they'll come back with but I just want to tell you how I feel. I'm like, I don't care. That's where I go there. I don't care how you feel. Nope, sorry. That's where we're done. We're done. Right now.
Yeah, I think that's at that point, that's where I'll back them into a corner with sarcasm and confuse them. And then they'll just walk off to their room. Satisfied with my answer.
I feel like I've used sarcasm so much in their lives that I've damaged my kids.
It's good for them. They need to be able to.
I will tell you, I thought about you the other day, Jamie, because my oldest daughter and my youngest daughter were talking, and the younger one was, I don't know, just being a total nut job as she is. And my oldest one looks at her and she goes, God, I cannot wait until you hit puberty. And my youngest one goes, why? Do you actually think my whole personality is going to change or something when I hit puberty? And my oldest daughter just deadpan looks at her and she goes, God, I hope so.
That's a good joke. That's funny.
And I just had a minute where I was like, that was my sarcasm. This is what I've taught them. I'll know. This is it. All right. And then instead of a swear jar, we've converted our swear jar into the future therapy jar. And so I just stood up, took a 20 out of my wallet and was like,
that's super funny. I know I fight it. I don't want to be that guy. When your daughter's like, do you want to know how I feel? Sometimes I'm like, do you want to know how I feel?
Yeah, you can't do that.
You're a terrible investment. I'm bleeding money, time, my own, as a project, this is an abject failure. We would declare bankruptcy on you. Nothing is working. I don't know what else. I don't know how to fix this problem. You won't do what you're told. I've asked you 100 times. What else do I? It's illogical. And so I talk to them like that, and they're like, "What?"
And then you're like, "I'm sorry. I shouldn't be putting my feelings on you." That's where you go.
I do put my feelings. I was in the car with them the other day, and I took them. I took them to the beach. I had 3 of them. It was just me and my wife was gone for the weekend, and I let them have 3 friends stay over for 12 hours of the day. I bought them dinner. I got them a movie, hung out. And by the end, I was texting them. The kids are great. It was just a long day. And by the time the parents were coming over, I was just going, okay, we're out of here. Let's go. And then the kid was walking out of there without your shoes. I'm like, where are your shoes? She's like, I don't know. And they started roaming around the house. And I'm like, let's go. That's a wrap. We got it. And the parent was seeing I was losing my mind. And then the parent texted me the next day. Said, hey, if you want, you can send your kids down to my house for a few hours. And I go, yeah, they're on their way right now.
Yeah, I don't like other people's kids for the most part. That's a big problem of mine, especially when they're younger. As the teens years have come, I will say the teens are more fun to hang out with because they'll kind of they're just sort of funny and they talk about things and you also kind of remember what it was like. They're just not quite as annoying. that being said, there was a day that my daughter had some of her friends over and my razor disappeared. And I was like, where is it? And she has her own razor. I was like, where the hell is the razor? And they were shaving her male friend's, little pretend mustache with my razor. And then it was a whole bunch of the 4 teenagers I'm like, why is my razor in here? What were you doing? And they were like, I don't know. I don't know how it got in here. I have no idea. We don't know. It just was in here, And it's like, even at age, you're not getting better at like lying to my face, huh?
Did you ask him why they had a 37-year-old mustached friend in there with him?
Greg, is that it was like I have more of a mustache than this kid did.
Right. No, I know.
They were like,
the guy was 50 and his name was Greg. And he liked poker. So I wouldn't,
oh my God.
My kids were outside.
You guys were talking about divorce, by the way. And I will say, because, you're like the dickiest divorce guy for a while on the show. And, And Jason, you said you thought pitting the parents against each other was really harmful to the kids. It's actually the number one most harmful thing you can do to your child in a divorce is pit them against the other parent. But one of the things that made me laugh out loud during one of the episodes was during the bat mitzvah, the quinceañera bat mitzvah thing. And Sam's ex-husband's there and they all hate him so much. And you're outside and he comes out and he's just like, the ex-husband's just looks like he's been hit by a truck because everyone hates him so much. And Greg's character's like, Jeff, right? Jeff's like, yeah, they used to feel that way about me too. And he's like, oh, when did that change? And he's like, oh, it hasn't. I just don't anymore.
I'm just fine with it now. Yeah.
Because that's also when you go to those parties, like that is the divorce situation.
Somebody saying it's bad. It's bad when divorced people pit the kids against the parents, right? The parents.
It's the number one worst. That's the most damaging.
Let me ask you: is it worse when a married couple does that to each other? Is that's
also bad? Yeah. No, actually, well, I don't know. That we could probably fit that into some sort of therapeutic triangulation.
We have to stop talking in front of our children.
Yeah,
that's a thing here for sure.
And they hear. All of a sudden, they're quiet, and you say that one thing, and she goes, "Oh, I know that," and you're like, "Wait, were you listening the whole time?" And you're like, "Oh, I knew it, I shouldn't," because they're at the age. Greg, our kids are almost this age, and I'm not sure why our kids aren't hanging out more often. They're the exact same age.
I know. I was thinking about that when we've been just earlier when we were talking about age.
Wait.
All right, so listen, we got to wrap this thing up. But so, what is the best parenting style for you? Research suggests that, Celia, what's the best parenting style?
Authoritative.
Authoritative parents are more likely to raise independent, self-reliant, and socially competent kids. While children of authoritative parents are not immune to mental health issues, relationship difficulties, substance abuse, poor self-regulation, or low self-esteem,
lots of sarcasm,
especially during a pandemic. These traits are more commonly seen in children of parents who strictly employ authoritarian, permissive, or uninvolved parenting styles. Of course, when it comes to parenting, there is no one size fits all. You don't need to subscribe to just one type, as there may be times when you have to use a varied parenting approach, but in moderation. I think everything else. It's like everything's in moderation. Listen, I am always amazed when I talk to parents and they go, "No, everything's cool. We never have a blow up. Everybody just kind of does their thing." You're like, "That's impossible."
That's a lie.
Yeah. It's a lie, right?
It's a lie. I choose to believe that's a lie. I'm not sure if it is, but I choose to believe that. No way.
After reading this, though, I think I need to be a little more listening to them. I think sometimes I definitely am on my own path about like what they should be doing as opposed to maybe getting their input as to is there a reason your room's this messy? I mean, maybe there's a reason. I don't know.
That's where you go into authoritarian. Like that's what I'm telling you. Just mix up the two together. I think it works better.
Yeah, I think so. I think you do have to drop the hammer. Like we made a mistake. We let them watch too much TV, I think, at times. Where I'm like, but you can't help it because if you don't, it's like I can't be your buddy for 12 hours a day, and you're torturing me. So if I put you on your iPad, I can actually get like an audition shot or something. There's no choice. You have to put them on an iPad to get something done. It's just
Yeah,
the way
and
it is.
it's different now than when we grew up. You can't just open the door and let them go running until sundown. You know, it's
Right,
like
exactly.
so,
I mean,
and
you
it's so it's
could,
impossible. You
but-
could,
Well, not
you could.
not in the middle of LA, you can't. But I mean, if I was somewhere
Again,
else,
you
I
could.
think it's still okay in Manhattan Beach, though.
My buddy in the garage in Manhattan Beach found it to work just fine.
There you go.
Yeah,
really quick, we have a new sponsor, and it's the guy who delivers buds, I believe. What's his name?
that's the fish man. That's a free shout out, fish man.
I took
Fish
notes on the fish man. You never know when you need a fish man.
We gotta go. I love you guys. Thank you so much for chiming in, Celia Behar, Greg Cromer, Chromes. We gotta get doing stuff, man.
I know it, man. I know it. I'm ready. Give me the call.
Well, listen, school's starting, and once those kids go back to school, I'm gonna have a couple hours on my time. So, thank you
Good.
for coming to play in the Parents Lounge. We're gonna let both of you guys go, and we'll see you guys soon. Dude, that was fun today.
Yes, I love our show. It's so much fun to me.
I feel a little better, honestly. Reading that authoritative and authoritarian parent thing, I might be a little more listening to my children, I think.
I'm a solid neglectful with a side of uninvolved. I don't. No, that's not true at all. I don't know. No, I'm extremely involved. I don't know what my style is, but like, I know how I felt the way I was parented, and I have tried to course correct all of that stuff with them, except for the Dark Lord, who I just don't trust.
No, I don't trust that kid at all. That kid's evil. All right, listen. Thank you to everybody who tuned in. All the guys who made comments. Cam and Narcolepsy27 killing it tonight. Jobo showed up. Everybody came in. It was super fun, and we had a great show with Larson,
so good.
Celia and Cromer and Mulligan. Super great, and it's always fun to chat with other parents and realize, you know what, we're kind of all in the same boat.
We do have a Thursday special show this week. You want to tell them about it, Jamie? This
Thursday, we have Meredith Mason. He's coming on. She is from the podcast. It's inappropriate. We're going to have to cut this whole thing at the end because I'm stumbling through this thing. What is happening? It's a Thursday show. Yes, it's a special Thursday show. You do some promos for a second, will you? I already did this one. Oh, okay. Never mind then. Hey, if you guys liked what we're doing, then please go on, subscribe, love, share. And yeah, we have a special show Thursday night here in the Parents Lounge. And I don't think I have anything else. I do. One more thing. A week from today on BradfordCountyMovies.com, tickets to the October 14th and 15th live Parents Lounge show in Sayre, Pennsylvania at the Sayre Theater will be going on sale. And we are ready to rock this thing. So make sure you get your tickets starting next week. I feel a lot better. I feel like I'm ready to handle the week. You ready? I'm ready. All right. That's it for tonight. We'll see you guys next time here on the Parents Lounge. Good night, everybody.